Got an interesting little video for you today. I'm going to take that PEX water line and poke it through to the outside. First, let me clear out this area. That's a lot better. This water line, I ran this last year, and this goes up into the unheated space above the shop here. It's kind of insulated, but that wouldn't be enough insulation to keep it from freezing. So this is self-draining. It goes from the bottom of the truss to a good deal higher on that side. And then, well, let me show you this. Here is the other end of that. I'm going to try to link to the videos where I put this in. It's a self-draining system, and it's going to be pretty interesting when it's done. But this year, it's not going to be hooked up at all, but we need to get that faucet in, which is not easy on a post frame. On the outside, the first girt that I could screw a faucet to is right in here. That's way too high for a faucet. Then we have this diagonal brace right here, and it has a gap between it and the outside tin. I could go through that, but you want to go between the ribs. It looks like I got a pencil mark right here, but this is the edge of the rib. That would put the center right about here, and we would have to have a piece of blocking back here and put the faucet through right there. I didn't want to do that, so I drilled through last year. That's where the faucet's going to go. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of 2x6 behind this brace and going into this area, and we're going to mount the faucet to that, and I'll have a bunch of screws. That'll be nice and sturdy, and the faucet will be at a more reasonable level on the outside. Let me go show you what that looks like on the outside real quick, and then we'll get back in here and figure out that piece that's going to go over there. With a post frame, you got to make sure that you're going to miss these tall ribs. We have our flue centered on these two, mini split lines centered, and the shutoff for the mini split centered. I got to do outlet over here, and the faucet should be centered. Let me find it. I know it's going to be centered right there. There it is. The first thing I really need to do is enlarge this hole, because once I have that wood piece behind there, I'm going to have to put that in place and then trace the line onto, or trace the circle onto it, and then get that drilled, and then I can put the PEX and stuff on the faucet itself, push it through, and get the screws on, and that'll be it for out here. We'll put a little bit of sealer on the top of it as well, and then on the inside we should just have to hook up the PEX lines. This is the faucet I chose. I could have got one of those frost-proof ones. We have them on the house and on the tiny house, but this thing is going to get used almost never. Once I have this in place, I'm going to put an access door in the wood panel, and that'll be it. I'll probably only use it once or twice ever, so this is good enough. Alright, I had originally picked this up thinking I was gonna just run the PEX over to it, but there's no way on earth that's gonna work, because we're going through a 2x4 first. So it needs to be like that, and then we only have a tiny little bit of space before we have these notches for the screws. So when I put this onto this, I want to get it so that I have the flats lined up with these notches, so I got as much room as possible. And then I only want to drill that hole just as big as I need to. I believe that was 1 1/8 inches. So I'll watch my hole size on the outside and drill it to exactly this wide diameter through the wood, and that should do it. It's going to be difficult drilling these holes. Hopefully I have a long enough drill bit, because I think this stuff might get in the way. Alright, I'm going to go over to the machine shop and put this in the vise and get this nice and tight, and then we'll come back and drill a hole in the tin. I bought this 1 1/8 bit just for this job, and what I'm going to do is just put that in the hole and kind of scratch where my larger hole's going to go, and I'm going to take this step drill and enlarge that. That's it, I believe. Nope, one more step. That'll do it. Now we got to go back on the inside and get that brace board in there, and we're well along the way. Yeah, I'm kind of a bit off, but it is what it is. Okay, just do a little test fit here. Okay, that'll work. What I want to do is I think I'll cut this at an angle, and then we'll mark where the edge of the board is down here. That way we'll have the most surface area we can get. Okay. That is going to work perfect. Now I can get 3/4 screws into there. I'll just make sure that we're roughly centered on the hole. That's a 2x6, so let me get the pen here. Two and 3/4 would be the center, or the outside edge from the center, and get that lined up. Oh, I think that's going to do it. All I really need to do is we'll put some glue on this and screw it in place. Just going to use some good old-fashioned tight bond. And we're going to use 2 3/4 inch screws, so that even when they're sucked down tight, they're not going to penetrate to the outside. It should be good enough. I had the wrong size driver tip and a dead battery. Hopefully that's sucking that up nice and tight against the brace here. Throw one more screw in here. Beautiful. Now I can go on the outside with that 1 1/8" bit and drill through here. Beautiful. Okay, it's gonna fit real nice. I got to mark and drill for my screws, and then we'll get this caulked up and screwed on out here, and then we'll finish up on the inside. It's about right. Solid as a rock. Okay, now We'll get this elbow in place. What I want to do is take this line and run it across this brace and put 2 straps on it, and then we'll just go to elbow and right out the hole. And I have a can of that reusable great stuff. I'll foam up into that hole, and then we can start getting this insulation back in the opening and sealing this up. Okay, let's do a little cleanup here, and then we'll take a look at our new faucet. That's a lot better. So, for all intents and purposes, we have our faucet going to the outside. This job is basically done. I do need to clean out in there and re-insulate this. I'm going to put rock wool in there. I'll tell you why in that video, but rock wool does a lot better with water. And in order to test it, I would have to put this end back onto the main line over here. I would have to put it on here and then take this washer hose, hook it to the hydrant and hook it to here, and then pressurize the system. And I do not want to do that today. I'm trying to get all of the outside work done first. So we'll do that another day. And that is it. It's on there rock solid. And the reason this is right where it is because straight through the building on the other side, we have an outdoor hydrant. So we have water on the other side. We have water on the inside, and we have faucets out in front. Well, we have a faucet in this building out in front and one on the house right across the way. So that's plenty of water. This will be the last faucet that's put on this building. The last of the outside work for this year is to put an outlet on this side of the building outside. That's going to go right underneath that chair rail out there and right in this area somewhere. Possibly later on in the winter, or more likely next year, we're going to have both air and power going through the wall right here, so that on really nice days I can work outside out here and not have to run extension cords. So that's going to wrap this video up. The next video will be installing that exterior outlet.